Today we're talking about blurry bird photos, and I got 5 reasons why your bird photos might be blurry, and I got a bunch of suggestions on how to fix them. So let's dive on in. So the first reason why your bird photos might be blurry is because you're not shooting in the right autofocus area mode. An example of this would be if you were shooting with an older DSLR and you were shooting a bird in flight with single point autofocus. That's hard to do. You have such a small focus point and a bird moving fast across your viewfinder, and you just got a small point and you're trying to make that point hit the bird. If that point hits the background or if it hits the body of the bird, because we're always trying to hit the eye, right? When we hit the eye in focus, normally we get the bird in focus. But if you're hitting the tail or if you're hitting the background, then you're going to be coming home with a blurry photo. So you want to be using the correct autofocus area mode for whatever type of bird shot that you're going for. If I got a bird perched on a stick, then I'll use single point autofocus because it's normally sitting pretty still and I can get my single point on the eye and blast away. If I'm shooting birds in flight, I'll use a larger area of autofocus, like small area large, or whatever camera brand that you're using. When you're shooting birds in flight, it tends to be better to use a larger area of autofocus to give yourself more of a chance to actually lock onto the bird. Using single point, you're just not giving you're putting your odds lower to actually capture the bird and trust your autofocus system to get it. For folks that are shooting with an older DSLR, for birds in flight, you'll definitely want to be using dynamic or just a larger area of autofocus, and then using single point when it's just a nice perched bird. For folks that are using one of today's mirrorless cameras, if you're using a higher end model like a Z8 or something like that, if it has bird eye tracking, definitely use it. It's incredible if your camera does have it. I used to use a Z6 II, so kind of an intermediate level camera. Those cameras do have tracking, but definitely test it on your camera. The Z8 does have some type of 3D tracking. I never trusted it. It wasn't good enough. So I stuck to that same model that I shot with my older DSLR, which used to be a D7500. With my Z6, I was using single point for more portrait shots, and then I would use dynamic for in-flight shots. The second reason why you might be coming home with blurry bird shots is because you're not shooting with a fast enough shutter speed. I actually go into more detail in this video about how to get razor sharp bird photos, and I'll put a link up here for it right up there. But this is a pretty common mistake, especially amongst beginners. Birds are always moving. They are so fast, they're twitching all the time. If a light breeze hits their feathers, the feathers sway, and even that can cause some motion blur in your photos. Now the simple solution to this is just to shoot with a faster shutter speed, but I know that that's not always possible. Sometimes we're shooting birds later on in the evening, or maybe you just don't like high ISOs and you just don't want to. Totally fair. I will say though that if you're trying to find that balance as you're shooting between a fast shutter speed and low ISOs, always try and go with a faster shutter speed, because in today's world, we can touch up some noise in Lightroom or in denoise or whatever noise editing software that you use, but when it comes to blurry photos, those are so hard to fix. You almost can't fix them. So that's kind of leading on the side of caution. Faster shutter speed over lower ISO. But like I said, sometimes we don't like to do that. I don't always like to raise my ISO and trust noise canceling software. So the other thing we can do is, if you use a slower shutter speed, shoot in fast, long bursts. So what I mean by this is if you're pointing at a bird and your shutter speed is slow, like 1/50th of a second, just hold down that shutter button and don't let it go for a few seconds. You might have to go through and delete a whole bunch of photos, but even if you took 200 photos that all look the same, you can probably guarantee that at least 1 or 2 are going to be tack sharp. It's kind of a cheat code for getting sharp photos. It's just the more photos you take, the more you spray and pray, the more likely one of them is going to come out sharp. The third reason why you might be coming home with blurry photos is because of motion blur. And this can be due to a number of things. Like we just talked about, shooting with a slower shutter speed means that any type of motion with your camera has a higher likelihood in resulting in a blurry image. But there are ways to fix that, especially if you're hand holding. When you're hand holding your camera shooting with a slower shutter speed, what you can do is when you're holding onto your camera, you want to be able to tuck your elbows in close to your body, have one hand kind of acting as a tripod for your lens, the other hand on the camera, and then the key that I find is when you press the camera up to your face, giving a little bit of extra pressure, not a ton where you're going to leave an imprint in your head, but just enough pressure that your eyebrow where you're putting the viewfinder acts as an extra touch point. Having that extra touch point will give you just an extra bit of stabilization, and then you'll be able to keep your camera a lot more steady. and kind of act as your own little self tripod. Speaking of tripods, that's the other thing that you can use is a tripod or a monopod to help keep your camera steady when you're shooting birds. I'm not a big fan of tripods or monopods. The main reason for that is because I find them a real pain in the and anything that stops you from going out and taking photos and having fun is just not for you. Just like tripods are not for me. Do you like shooting with tripods? Let me know. Am I in the wrong here? Do you find them a pain in the Let me know. I want to know in the comments. What do you like to do? And the fourth reason why you might be coming home with blurry photos is your aperture. This tip, I'm being super picky here, so take this with a grain of salt, but it can matter. And especially if you're somebody who just really likes fine, sharp photos, this can make a difference. So what is the issue when I say aperture? So the main issue is, and I'll use your phone as an example. Most phones nowadays have a portrait mode. If you go into portrait mode on your phone and you put it too close to yourself, your phone will tell you to step back or move away. And then it'll get it nice and blurry. But if you take a photo when you're too close, you'll notice that your face isn't completely in focus. Maybe your cheeks are out of focus or some of your hair is out of focus and it just looks kind of blurry. Well, even in bird photography, this can happen when you're shooting wide open and you're too close to the bird. I know in bird photography, we're always struggling, always fighting to get closer to the bird, closer, closer, closer. But there is a point where you can get too close, and in bird photography, especially as beginners, we always tend to shoot wide open. Well, I have this emu shot as an example, and again, being super picky here. My opinion, there's nothing wrong with this emu shot. It's just a nice portrait, basic, and nothing completely wrong. Focus is on the eye, but if you're really looking for tack sharp, I was shooting at f8 and I was really close to this emu. This is a really friendly emu. And if you look at the neck, the feather detail in the neck is out of focus. Too close. There's depth there. The eye and its head is closer to the plane of focus than its neck. But if I was shooting at something like f11 or f14, I probably would have gotten the entire emu in focus. So this tip can kind of go hand in hand with tip number one, which is using the right autofocus area mode. And the reason being is, let's say you're shooting with dynamic area autofocus and there's a bird in flight coming across your viewfinder, but you shoot that bird at f11 or even f14, something we don't do very often. But if you do it, and let's say you're shooting and your autofocus hits the bird's belly, well, shooting at f11 or f14 is actually going to give you better odds of capturing the whole bird in focus. Birds in flight can be very difficult, especially if you don't have bird eye tracking, to get the autofocus to lock onto the eye. That's something very difficult to do, but shooting at a higher f-stop will actually give you better odds of capturing the whole bird in focus. Even if you do just focus on the belly, shooting at f11 or f14, you might be able to get the whole bird in focus. But if you're shooting wide open at f5.6 and 6.3 and you lock onto the bird's belly, chances are that belly's going to be nice in focus, but its head isn't going to be. This can actually get your whole bird nicely in focus and keep it sharp and reduce any blur that you might get. And for tip number 5, the final reason that we're going to talk about here today, why your bird photos might be blurry, is the air. Yes, the air. Now, something we don't often think about in photography. We're often thinking about the subject, we're often thinking about our cameras and our settings, but we're not thinking about the space in between the subject and the camera. The air, the atmosphere can actually play a major role in how our photos turn out. And sometimes it's things in the air that we can't even see with our own eyes, but our cameras can see them. And these things that I'm talking about, like one thing, is heat haze. Now, you might be asking yourself, Trav, what are you talking about? What are you talking about the air? Well, I'm going to give a couple of examples here. One of the most common ones that we do see talked about a lot is heat haze. If you're not sure what heat haze is, to keep it real simple, it's just when the temperature of the air and the ground are different, and it creates a little mirage-like effect. So if it's a really hot summer day and the tarmac or the concrete is really, really hot, and the air is a little bit cooler, that's how you're going to get that mirage effect. Have you ever looked at a road from a far distance away and you've seen the air kind of moving around? That's heat haze. It doesn't even take that much of a difference in temperature for heat haze to appear in our images, but not in our eyes. The first time you ever experience heat haze, you're going to think there's something wrong with your autofocus system. It's going to drive you nuts. It's just heat haze. Everything's okay with your camera. So now with heat haze, anytime there's a temperature change in the air where two different, I don't know what the sciencey word is, Whenever two different temperatures in the air mix, there we go. Whenever there's two different temperatures in the air that mix, it's going to create some kind of distortion in the air, and our cameras are going to pick it up and it's going to ruin our shots. Another really great example of this is shooting from your vehicle. Have you ever shot a bird from your vehicle on either a hot summer day or a really cold winter day? Chances are in your vehicle you probably have the AC on or you got the heat on. Well, if your camera is in the vehicle and you're tucked up inside and you're shooting through the window, outside the vehicle the air is either hot or cold, and inside the vehicle the air is either hot or cold. That's two different temperatures mixing. So if you're shooting from inside the vehicle and you are shooting out into a different temperature, your photo is going to be hazy. Whenever you're shooting from a vehicle, try and get as much of your camera outside of the window. I know you don't want to scare away the bird, but this will stop the heat haze or any type of haze from affecting your camera. Other things in the air that affect our photos are mist, fog, different types of conditions like rain or snow. All of that and the distance between you and the subject all plays a major role in how sharp and how much blur you might have in your image. There's a bunch of different solutions to all these problems, and I do have some weather guides that I'll put up here in the corner, like shooting birds in the snow and shooting in overcast. I have a couple of those videos up here. The main thing, like if you want to fix heat haze, the main thing you're going to have to do is either get closer to the subject to mitigate the amount of air, right? Because the closer you are, the less air there is, right, to shoot through. So the further distance away you are from the subject, the more heat haze you're introducing. If you can get closer, that will help. If you can shoot in the shade, where the air temperature in the shade might be better, definitely shoot in the shade. But one of the best things for heat haze is just don't. Just enjoy the afternoon. I try not to shoot during midday just because of it. It's just sometimes not worth it. Shooting early in the morning or in the evening, golden hour, or shooting on an overcast day. Again, you can check out my video on shooting on overcast days. Well, folks, that's all I got for you today. Thanks a lot for watching. Like, subscribe, and all that other stuff, and I'll see you next time.